It's the first time since 2015 that ASU has started Pac-12 play with 4 straight conference series victories. Obviously, you've been very focused on sort of moving forward and not settling and being satisfied, but do those accolades mean anything to you?
No, not really. I mean, they're nice, I guess, but we're just trying to win games, and like you said, not be complacent, not be satisfied. We got a chance to sweep tomorrow, and I expect our guys ready to play tomorrow again. And that's our demands of them are high, as they should be. And so when you get in these positions, you have to take advantage of it. And so I expect us coming out ready to play again tomorrow, and hopefully put it on them tomorrow.
You started 5 freshmen tonight in the lineup. How impressed have you been with their development and their adjustments and just the depth of that class?
There's some growing pains, certainly along with it too. They've been, at times really good, and at times you kind of pull your hair out and go, what are you thinking up there? But you remember they're 18, they're 19, and so it's our job to continue coaching them and getting them better. Situational hitting, we had Jackson, freshman, on second base there with nobody out, I think in the 3rd inning with Boo up, and we have to figure out a way to get him to third base right there, because then Contradas hits the ball to the track and it goes for naught, and it's where if you do your job and move that runner over, we get a run right there, we take the lead and we're off and rolling. But those little situational things sometimes, those are things we got to get better at, and I think they understand the importance of it, but they still have a hard time executing on a consistent basis. But that's just something that we got to keep grinding on them with, and keep encouraging them and getting them to understand why that's important to be able to do that. So those are things that we're going to have to deal with, but on the same token, those guys have earned the right to be in there, and having 5 freshmen, I'm not scared of it. I feel confident with those guys in there, and they're doing a good job.
You talked in the Arizona series about putting the game in motion a little bit. You got thrown out a couple times in that game, but tonight certainly felt like you were trying to do something similar. Is that something that we're going to see a little bit more as, if the game gets slower offensively?
I think it's important to try to force the issue, but not in a way that's going to run you out of innings. So for me, it's more, I try to be calculated about it. Of course, I'd like to put the game in motion, and that's the brand of baseball that we like to play. But their catcher's got a pretty good arm back there, so I'm not going to force it unless I think I feel real confident there's going to be a breaking ball or something like that, and our guy can get a good jump. But we had a few bases, I think, stolen tonight, where we were able to do a couple things there. But there's these guys do like to throw a lot of off-speed pitches and fastball counts, so it's tough to plan on a hit and run or something like that against these guys. You got to really pick and choose the right moment, and I'll look for the opportunities, but I'm not going to force it.
Among all these freshmen, Isaiah was really the only one that kind of got off to a slow start, but kind of came on tonight with some good at-bats, and especially last night with the big sac fly. What have you seen from him that's been improving over the course of the season?
He's in short, his balance is much better in his swing right now. So he was getting really, I won't say lazy, but inconsistent with his finish and falling all over the plate and swinging out of the zone and being inconsistent with the pitches he's swinging at. And I think a lot of it just goes back to staying balanced through the zone, and you can't stay balanced if you're swinging at stuff out of the zone. So kind of those type of things, swinging at strikes, getting the ball up for him a little bit. He's been really doing a good job the last couple of days of laying off pitches down in the zone that he had been chasing previously. I think the 2-2 pitch last night was a pitch that he's really been chasing a lot, that hard down and in slider, and he laid off of it, and that ultimately got him a pitch to drive, on the full count. So he's been putting together a lot better at bats the way he's capable of doing, and results I think are in line for him to really start blowing up and doing well.
Having recruited him out of high school and seeing what he was capable of then during this entire, throughout the season where he hasn't been performing as his talent would suggest, did you think it was coming?
Well, to be fair, the credit for recruiting him went to the previous staff. that committed him, but we did watch him obviously once we took over and knew that he was a guy that they were right about. He's a talented kid that we liked, and I think the biggest thing about Jax is the mentality and the mindset. He's a great kid, and he's a worker. Father, military family. He's a yes sir, no sir type kid that works really hard, and I knew he was going to be not only as physically talented, but just a special kid. So, we're happy to have him. We're grateful the previous staff was landed him nice and early, because he's a talented kid that we're happy to have.
It's probably pretty obvious just watching him and his mannerisms and everything he does, but it's really hard not to think about Ken Griffey Jr. when you just watch him go about the things he does, the number he wears on his back, and how he kind of models his game. I know it's easy to say that, and then to look at the talent and see that there's still a lot of things he needs to adjust to, and get to a point to aspire to a level like that. But do you feel like you kind of see a level of potential in him that is emblematic of that kind of future?
Well, when you talk about Ken Griffey Jr., you're talking about arguably the greatest player in the history of our game. So I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on Isaiah. He does have tremendous physical abilities, and I think when you manage expectations based on what he's capable of doing and his growth in the game, and I think he has the potential to be very, very good. And as long as he continues to work and identify the things he has to work at and put the hours in, he's got a chance to be very special. So as far as comparing him to Junior, I don't know if anybody compares to Junior, but I'd love to see him do it.
You said, I know you said before that you don't care which outs these guys get as long as they get the outs, but are you starting to kind of like the way Owen looks in a closer role, like a back end role?
For me, it's very reassuring to hopefully put the game to bed with Piv and Owen in the back end. It gives me a little bit of peace of mind that if we can get a lead going into the 6th, 7th inning, that we got a pretty good chance of finishing this game. And having him in the back end, the way he's been throwing gives me a lot of confidence. So we may give up a couple of innings if he were to start, as far as overall innings over a weekend, but having that reassurance of him in the back end is just so valuable to me. He's been another one of those guys that's just, I think ultimately he would like to start, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. He understands the importance that he brings to our team, and he's been outstanding. So having him and Piv and a couple of those other back end guys, Wayne Scott and Brock, starting to find it again too, which is having some options down there is nice.
A lot of it can probably be attributed to the personnel you have out there, but do you feel like you're more comfortable managing a game when it gets in the late innings with the pitching staff?
I do, yeah. And those guys have stepped up and done a great job, which gives me that comfort. So, the biggest thing is they come in and pound the strike zone. They're tough to beat, and they're doing a good job of that.
Campos, has some great plays behind the plate, but he's kind of struggled as of late from actually batting the box. But tonight he hit the homer. What have you kind of seen from his approach over these last few games that has kind of gotten maybe out of the slump possibly?
He's hitting .416. I don't think he's in a slump.
Over his last 5, just with a homer.
If that's a slump, man.
It's a Campos slump.
Oh boy, I've had a lot of slumps in my life, but I wish they were only 0 for 5. Campy's just fine. I'm not overly concerned with Campy. He's still putting together good at bats. He just he hit a couple balls decent yesterday. Just missed a homer. I don't know, days are running together. Was that the first at bat today that just missed a homer to center? And then he sits on a pitch and gets him to right with the homer. So Campy's fine. He's going to have days where, again, I think I've talked about it. We get spoiled with the type of at bats he puts together every day, and so it is glaring when he has a 0 for 5, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with Campy? Did he sleep okay last night, or does he eat the wrong food today, or whatever? But he's going to be hitting third tomorrow. I'm not too worried about him. He's a special player, and very rarely does he ever show any emotions that he's scuffling or anything, and he's he's in a good spot.
Another nice defensive play for him tonight too, with that play at the plate in the second inning. You kind of called the play last night, the back pick, one of the most important plays. Do you feel like that was a big swinger as well tonight?
I think it could have been. Certainly he was, that kid had stole second and third, and he was itching to, I thought he might take a chance at stealing home against Ross there. With his back being to him, he was starting to inch down the line. You could tell that kid's very, very good at anticipating balls in the dirt. And he was anticipating one there, and had that kicked just a tick further, it might have been a different play. But Campy did a great job, getting on it quick and getting back to the plate in time. So that was a big play.
Having 5 freshmen in the lineup, how important has it been for you to sort of see your younger guys succeed and fail in some tough games like this one just throughout this season?
I think like I said, at the time, it's not fun when they make freshman mistakes, but I know this is all going to help them in the long run, and we're going to grow as a team. We're going to need them to go through these tougher times and playing these type of games now if we want to be the team we want to be later on in the year too. They understand that our schedule only gets tougher, from here on out, and the little things are going to become more magnified. You're not going to run away with games. Or one little thing of moving a base runner or drawing a walk or not swinging out of the zone, those things matter, and they become magnified the tougher the competition. So, they're starting to get a taste of it this series. Washington State is a team that can pitch it, and they do a good job at that. But on the same token, we have to learn from the things that we fail at and continue to grow from it. So. The freshmen are learning, and they're getting better. And again, you got ups and downs with them, and that's normal. But I still have a lot of confidence in what they're doing.
You talked a little earlier about how Isaiah's starting to come around a little bit. If he does end up showing what everyone knows he's capable of, just how much more dangerous does this offense become?
It gives us another big weapon in there, which is nice. We've taken a couple of games here, again, against a good team, and I don't know if Contradas has a hit in the last couple of days. As you said, Campy's got one, and Keishel, got a couple of hits today, but those are the guys that have been carrying us, and when they don't have their big days, someone else steps up. So you're never going to have all 9 guys firing on the same cylinder. If you do, that'd be cool, but it's not going to happen very often. So when some guys are fading, the other guys pick it up. That's kind of what happens over the course of the year. So just to be able to get him going and get him hot would be outstanding. And I know he's capable of doing it. And I think if I see what I think I see, it's getting close to him starting to feel it a little bit.
At this stage, Ross does a lot of good, but also has some lapses from time to time in terms of command and maybe other things. So what is, from your perspective, the way to bridge the gap between some of his strengths and weaknesses?
I think that's a little bit of a mystery. I think at times things get sped up a little bit, and he rushes and leaves the breaking ball hanging or out of the zone, and other times he spikes it. So I think when he has a good feel for his off-speed pitches, he's pretty dang good. And when he scuffles and walks some guys like he did tonight, it's usually because he's having a hard time landing the breaking ball and becomes kind of a 1 or 2 pitch guy. And he knows he's capable of a lot more, and we do too. And it's not like he pitched bad tonight. He did just fine. But his pitch count got pretty high there early, and a lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts. So, it's one of those things that he has to understand that he's got to be able to land his breaking ball at times and pitch with that instead of just throw. So, and when he does that, he's pretty dang good.
Along the lines, Dunn comes out, Lebanov comes in, has to walk, and then Contradas makes that play right by the Washington State dugout to get out of that inning. Just from a momentum standpoint, how big did you view that play of Contradas being able to make that play in deep and foul territory like he did?
That's the one thing about New is you can bank on the fact his defense is always gonna be pretty good, and he's gonna come up with some big plays. You know, we gave him a freebie there with the walk, 4-pitch walk, and that's not characteristic of Leb. You know, we expect better out of him to come in and not walk a run across right there. But you know, getting the next guy to pop up and get out of that inning was, you know, was big to not to at least limit it to a couple runs, and that could have one base hit there, and that's a 4 or 5 run inning, and we're chasing a big number. So you know, the way we were able to at least limit it to something small, and obviously we tied it up there in the bottom half. So all those are plays that add up over the course of the game that ultimately determine whether you win or lose.
This team has kind of showed an ability to kind of take a punch, but also throw one back. You know, I think the 6th inning was kind of evident of that. Do you feel that when they face a deficit, no matter what it is, the bats will, you know, come alive and they'll be able to dig themselves out of the hole?
You know, I like to think if we, long as we keep it close, our bats are going to wake up, you know, at some point in time. And I have confidence in our guys. I don't feel that they're a team that pitching, regardless of how good they are, is going to keep us down for an entire game. I'm confident in our guys. So is that going to happen once in a while? Yeah, sure. But over the course of the year, I feel like we're good enough to put up runs against anybody. And as long as we can keep it close and keep us within striking distance, we got a chance to explode at any minute. So I think that's just a matter of, you know, continuing to grow as an offense. And, you know, I would like us to not wait until the 5th, 6th, 7th inning before we start waking up, which has been the case the past 2 days. But, you know, we're facing a better pitching staff. So these guys know how to pitch, and we just got to find out how good we are and stick to our approach and execute a little bit better.
Thanks, Willie.